Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're viewing this. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Hope you're having a great day today. If you appreciate anything in this video, do me a favor. I'd appreciate it. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment. If you're feeling generous, feeling nice, whatever, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit the bell notifications. This is going to be a short video because nothing's going on. It's boring as all get out, right? It's boring. Nothing's happening in the markets. So, let's just start with the stock market. It was flat today, flat. And you know what? Actually, this is kind of reminiscent of what happened last week in reverse. If you recall last week, I think it was Tuesday, we had a big run up. The stock market went up, a big run up. And on Wednesday or on Tuesday evening, I said, well, wait on Wednesday. I think we'll probably go down slightly or sideways. And if that happens, Thursday and Friday we'll rally, I think. And that's exactly what happened. I told you that on Tuesday night last week. I think that's, this is what's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. Well, it's kind of the reverse of that, right? We've been going down this week and down big yesterday. And so, to be expected, right? The market takes a breath. It needs a rest and it goes up slightly or sideways. And if that happens, well, then you can expect Thursday and Friday for it to keep going down. So I would not be surprised to see that happen. In fact, I think there's some inflation numbers coming out tomorrow. I should have highlighted that. And so keep an eye open for those. If they come in higher than expected, it's going to be brutal, I think. It's going to be bad. If they come in lower than expected, lower inflation numbers, then maybe we get a little, sideways action or hopefully some relief. We'll see. So keep an eye open for that. But the biggest driver, I've been talking about it on this channel for a while, is the DXY, right? The DXY went up another 0.5% today. Look at this. 0.5% today after a 0.5% yesterday. It's at 105.10, I think it was, 105.10. That's like a 20-year high. It's at the highest level it's been in 20 years. So as long as that keeps moving up, do not expect the stock market to move up at all. Do not expect crypto to move up at all. So at some point that we got to get some sustained relief on the DXY, and relief meaning downward action. But until that happens, I'm not that excited about crypto or the stock market or anything. Maybe it's time to put your money in the DXY. No, I'm not doing that. Do not do that. None of this is financial advice. So do what you got to do, but putting money into something that it's at a 20-year high rarely works out in the end. So again, stock market, nothing's changed, boring. So let's talk about crypto. Let's talk about Bitcoin to start. So I drew this little W on here because I saw this earlier. So this is the daily chart, right? And we kind of have a little bit of a W potentially going on. Now, if this W plays out, maybe we start challenging some of these resistance levels, starting with this blue line. We can't even get to this blue line. So, which doesn't give me much confidence that we're going to, in fact, have this W play out. And, the bigger resistance is this red line. Maybe we get up there. That red line was support for over a month, broke down below it. And, so when we do get back up to that point, and we will someday, next week, next month, 6 months from now, we will get back to that support now turn resistance line. And it will be big resistance, in my opinion, right? And that will be tough resistance to break. That support resistance line goes back, I've showed you on this channel like over a year, well over a year, like 18, 19 months now at this point. And it's served as resistance and support going back that entire time. So it's going to be tough resistance to break, in my opinion. So again, I'm not going to get excited about Bitcoin. I'm not going to move any of the Bitcoin I've moved into ADA or Bitcoin I've moved into Ethereum. I'm not going to move it back into Bitcoin until we get above this resistance line and hold above it, and maybe even test it as support and make sure it holds. But not until then am I going to even contemplate even thinking about moving any of the the ADA and Ethereum that I've moved out of Bitcoin into ADA and Ethereum. I'm not going to even think about contemplating moving it back to Bitcoin until we get above that resistance line. Just what I'm doing. Not financial advice, but just what I'm doing. So again, Bitcoin hasn't moved at all. And in fact, Actually, I'm more inclined to say this W will not play out, and we eventually come back down and test the 17.5 level, and maybe potentially, possibly go lower, 16, 15, 14. I just there's still so much uncertainty and liquidity issues in the market right now that I would not be surprised if we go lower to 16, 15, 14,000, maybe even lower. So that's what I'm more inclined to believe at this point, and that fits with my thesis when that support line was holding. I didn't think we were going to go down to 20,000 and then just break up. I thought we were going to go to, if we were going to go down to 20,000, we were going to break that support line, which, in all transparency, I didn't think we were going to break that support line at all. But if we did, I thought we'd go to 20,000, 21,000, hold there for a while and break down to 15, 14, 13. And, we went down to 17, so it kind of played out. But I still more inclined to think that those lower levels are in play still. So, again, but nothing's changed in Bitcoin. And again, I'm not that excited about Bitcoin right now. Because why? Why? Because our trades are killing it. Our trades that we've moved out of Bitcoin into ADA, into Ethereum, are playing out perfectly. And we are beating Bitcoin, right? Without putting new money into the game, without trading and leverage, putting our entire portfolio in jeopardy of being liquidated. Why do that? You can stack sats just by taking it out of Bitcoin and putting it into other coins at the very opportune moment. And that's what we've done on this channel. The very exact opportune moment. I've told you I'm moving my portfolio from Bitcoin into these other two coins, and we're making sats without putting new money in, without trading and leverage. I'm stacking sats. So let's look at one of them, right? ADA. This is going to be redundant for a lot of you that watch me more frequently, but right, again, I look at the ADA BTC chart and the weekly chart on Coinbase, and I told you, back here when one ADA was 0.000019 Bitcoin, that this was the most bullish chart in crypto. And then we followed that up with this giant green candle, and we have barely given anything back. In fact, we're still up like 20% on that trade since I told you I was moving most of my Bitcoin into ADA at that exact moment. I told you that's what I was doing, and I made a video of it that night. I told you this is exactly what I'm doing, and it was at the exact low. And then the entire next week, we had that giant green candle. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit the bell notification, and we'll talk about, as we move up on ADA, what I'm doing with that ADA, if I'm going to move it back into Bitcoin, because there are resistance levels up there. But in the end, right, I'm waiting for that 0.000019 Bitcoin to turn into the top of this wedge up here into 0.00006 Bitcoin. 300% return, turning one Bitcoin into 3, 2 Bitcoin into 6, 3 Bitcoin into 9, whatever you've moved over, right? We're killing it right now. We're up over 20%, but I'm waiting for that 300% versus Bitcoin. And again, not a short-term trade. This is the weekly chart. It could take 6 months, could take a year, could take 18 months. But if somebody told you can turn one Bitcoin into 3, excuse me, without putting any new money in, without trading on leverage, it takes 18 months, wouldn't you do it? Or 2 Bitcoin into 6, or 3 Bitcoin into 9, wouldn't you take that? I take that every day of the week. If it takes me 18 months, I'd do it. So, right, we're killing it. We're killing that trade. Now, the one that we're not killing quite as much today, but we're still in profit. We're still up versus Bitcoin. The ETH chart. ETH took quite a hit today for some unknown reason. Sorry, I still can't get rid of my COVID cough. I got rid of COVID like 4 weeks ago, but I can't get rid of the stupid cough that came with it. So again, the ETH BTC chart is what we look at. And again, the weekly chart. So not a short-term play. And I told you about this chart when one ETH was 0.052 Bitcoin at the exact bottom, I didn't bring it to you 2 weeks prior when we still had, 10-15% more to go down. I told you at the exact bottom, and we're up on the trade, not as much as we were a few days ago, but we're up. And we're still in profit. You know, maybe we were up like 12%, 12, 13%, and now it's only, I don't know, probably 5%. But as long as we stay above this support line, which goes back 18 months, right? As long as we stay above this red support line here, we're golden, and we'll be in profit because the support line is an ascending triangle. And what am I waiting for on that particular chart? On that particular trade, I'm looking for a 50% return. 1 Bitcoin into 1.5, 2 Bitcoin into 3. If it plays out, I might be wrong. I might be wrong in all of this. So you know, not financial advice. You need to do, you know, make your own decisions and make your own trades. But that's what I'm waiting for. And again, if somebody, and that, I think that'll play out sooner than the ADA trade. I don't think it'll take 18 months to get that 50% return. It might only take 3-6 months, but I think it's coming, in my opinion. And if it does, if somebody told you you could, without putting new money in, without trading on leverage, you could turn 1 Bitcoin into 1.5, 2 Bitcoin into 3, wouldn't you take that? Even if it takes 6 months to a year, yeah, you take that, right? We're stacking sats without trading on leverage. You can do it. Don't listen to these crypto influencers who are telling you, use my link, and then so I can get a kickback and make some money off of your back while you're getting liquidated. Don't do it. Don't trade on leverage. Okay, so let's look at the one thing that is intriguing me a little bit today. And we talked about it on the channel yesterday. It's the PolkaDot BTC chart. And again, I'm looking at the weekly. And so let's wait for my lines to pop up here. So you can see it kind of reminds me of the ADA chart, right? A descending wedge. But last week we broke out above it. And yeah, on yesterday's channel, when I was highlighting this, I said, well, I'm going to wait for the weekly candle, this weekly candle that we're on right now, to come back down and test this upper descending resistance line, red resistance line, and see if it holds as support. Because, right, it is possible we come back into the middle of the chart, into the descending wedge, and we play, you know, until it gets closer to the apex. And, you know, that might be 3 months from now, because they're converging very slowly. But if this resistance line now holds a support, it might make a good trade. It might make a good trade. And again, that's like a 100% return, I think. You know, you could double your Bitcoin if you went into that trade and the chart plays out. Now, what I'm going to do on this one, if I do put money in there, if I do trade into PolkaDot, I'm not going to do it until the weekly close on Sunday. I'm going to wait to see if that line holds, because, you know, again, I'm looking at the weekly chart. I'm going to wait to see if this line holds as support, until, you know, so the weekly closes on Sunday. Right now we're testing it. We're right on top of it. We'll have to see if it holds and we don't go back into the chart. So that's what I'm going to do. And the other thing is, I am not going to go as heavily into PolkaDot as I went into ADA, certainly, and nor Ethereum. So I'm going to go a little bit less in, but potentially I'll go in. But I'm not going to do it until at least Sunday. So if you like, you know, these updates, that what I'm doing, and you appreciate, you know, getting them timely, hit the bell notification so you know when I'm making these trades. And you know, I do my best to, if I make a trade, jump right on and say, here's what I'm doing. And that's exactly what I did with ADA and the Ethereum trades that I made like 2 weeks ago. That night I came on and said, here's what I'm doing, and they were at the exact bottom, and we've made profits on them ever since. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit that bell notification. Let's just go back before we sign off here into BTC. You know, I like to finish up on BTC every episode or every video, just because that's the alpha in the room, right? And again, I'll look at the daily. And I'm just not, you know, we're 4 daily candles in a row here. After 3, you know, 4 or 5 up daily candles, you know, it's going sideways. That's all it's doing. It's boring. So again, you know, my play right now, see if that W plays out. If the W doesn't play out, I'm expecting 17,000, 16,000, you know, somewhere down there. If a W plays out, then we can start looking at those resistance levels, and we'll talk about them on the channel as they play out. I guarantee you, here's one guarantee. You're not going to get this anywhere on crypto YouTube, right? One guarantee, I'll guarantee you something. Volatility is coming. I just don't know when, right? Volatility will come back. Whether that'll be, next week, next month, 6 months from now, a year from now, 6 years from now, Bitcoin and crypto will be volatile again. And we'll talk about them on the channel as they happen. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a follow. And that's it. That's all I have for you today. Things will, I'll reiterate again. This is the best place to have your money, in my opinion, right now. New money that you're putting in, best place to have is in crypto. And you're fortunate if you're in that game. So look at it like that, right? These boring times, this is when fortunes will be made in the future, when that volatility does return. So feel fortunate that you're here and you're able to participate, because a lot of people can't. So that's it. I hope you're having a great night. I will be back tomorrow, and we'll talk about hopefully some better trades or better moves in the market, and hopefully positive. That's it. I love you all. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great night. My name is Mike. I'm the Crypto Liberal. Talk more tomorrow. Good night.